please join us for pledge and prayer?
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you would please join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight and we seek your wisdom and your guidance. Please help us to do what is right and what is best for our taxpayers, for our county employees, our department heads, and everyone who enjoys this beautiful, wonderful county that you have blessed us with. We ask for special protection for the first responders. We ask that you be with them each and every day and allow them to go home to their families at the end of their shifts, safe and sound. We also ask special blessings on the military people who are serving, who are keeping us safe each and every day. We ask all of these things in your Son's precious name. Amen.
Okay, if everyone could silence your cell phones, council members, make sure your microphones are on. And if you're come up to speak, please speak clearly into the microphone, as I'm not yet. We'll call the April 13, 2023 County Council meeting to order. With that, I'll look for approval of the March 9th
So
minutes.
moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, next up, we have Alan Teo, KEDCO.
Good evening, council members. Yep. All right, there we go. Better. I'm in stereo. Alan Teo with Kosciuszko Economic Development Corporation. Pleased to be able to share a quarterly update. I am going to go a little bit off script this evening, though. I shared our Mission in Motion report. That's a progress report we put together to give a snapshot. I don't want to read through that, and so instead, I would like to share some thoughts from a meeting I went to yesterday. So I was able to attend an Agronovus meeting in Indianapolis that featured our Indiana Secretary of Commerce, Brad Chambers, and the CEO of Agronovus, Mitch Frazier, both friends to this community, that both hold our community in very, very high regard. And so I think as we look at our efforts and really the investments we're making as a community, that the work we're doing helps to understand where they're focused and how we are helping them to achieve what we're able to do statewide. And so I want to go through really the 5 priorities that Brad Chambers put out for us, and then the 3 objectives that Mitch Frazier shared. I think they're relevant for us as we continue this year and as we continue forward, and even as you think about the work that's outlined in our Mission in Motion report. So Brad Chambers, Secretary of Commerce, actually longtime resident up at Lake Wawasee. He comes to economic development from as a developer, as someone who has quite a bit of experience, self-made, started his business in college. His 5 pillars, it's called his 5E strategy. The first E is economy. Excuse me, the first E is economy of the future. So what are we doing as a state to invest in and really prepare for the economy of the future? Now, I'll give you an example. Brad was pretty upset that we didn't get the Intel facility that went to Ohio. It's about a $15 billion facility, would have been transformative. He's taking that momentum and actually then putting that towards establishing something on the similar to Research Triangle outside of Indianapolis and Lebanon. And so they want to put the stake in the ground and help, really create opportunities to make sure the future economy comes through our state. Again, we have an important part to play in that. The second E is environment. And what he means by environment is the built environment. So he is a developer. He's saying the quality of life, the placemaking we have, what we're known for as far as amenities, what attracts people here, what people think of when they think of our community, that takes quite a bit of care and feeding, right? To make sure we invest in and sustain that. The third thing, E, is entrepreneurship. We have a fantastic legacy of entrepreneurship to build on in this community. And so I want to make sure we do all we can to be known as a place that supports entrepreneurs. It is not easy to start a company. And I was with Doug Rassey from Pollywood yesterday. That's a 30-year overnight success story, right? It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of support, a lot of people involved along the way. The fourth E is energy, that Indiana has an important part to play in our ongoing, evolving energy economy. I didn't know this statistic Brad shared. Among all 50 states, Indiana is number 4 in terms of the amount of renewable energy going through permitting right now. I'm not making any statements about whether one technology is better than another or the merits of renewable energy. I'm saying Indiana is number 4 state nationwide in terms of the amount of renewable energy going through permitting. The fifth E is engagement. And what Brad means by that is what is the story we are sharing? What are we saying about our community? Are we looking down at our shoes? Are we saying, hey, remember back when? Or are we saying, you know, are we really positive and proud of what we have and forward-looking? And are we telling that story? So when people ask what's there to do in Kosciuszko County, we have an answer. Or if people ask, you know, what are we doing to support the community, we have answers. And again, we all have parts to play in that. So those are the 5 E's from IEDC. That is the strategy they're driving. And again, my objective is to make sure we as a community are doing all we can to contribute to that, as well as make sure they are looking for things they can do to help us. The 3 things from Agrinovus, I thought these were very insightful, and this is really what got me thinking about bringing this to you all this evening, because I think they're all 3 relevant to us in this community. So what Agrinovus is looking at going forward is really 3 areas as they look at the agribusiness, what they call the ag bioscience economy. The first is, and these are all statements, biofuels is reemerging as an important part of the energy transition. So biofuels has a role in the energy transformation or transition. We have the largest biodiesel facility, integrated biodiesel facility in the country, 5 miles down the road. We have an important part to play. So they gave an example of, you know, John Deere can't electrify a large piece of farm equipment, just too many batteries, too heavy. But they can create a piece of farm equipment that can run on renewable fuels or different fuels, alternative fuels, and get a lot better return. So example there, John Deere, and well, example further is Bunge, which is a different biodiesel facility in Shelbyville, is partnering with Corteva out of Indianapolis and Chevron to work on a new biofuel. So what can we do as a community with our agribusiness? But at the end of the day, biofuels has an important part to play. The second thing, labor challenges will remain and will drive innovation. Throughout the agribusiness economy, there will be an ongoing focus on looking for innovation, looking for automation, not as a way to replace people, as a way to make sure the people we do have are working in productive areas and we can complement them with innovation, with automation, robotics, to help, again, just become that much more productive. Again, important part of the agribusiness story is just how much more productive we've been able to become as we do more with, you know, fewer acres and even better yields, et cetera. The third thing is that there will be a continued focus on ag tech consolidation. As you know, companies look where to grow, how to grow, there'll be more mergers and acquisitions activity. Again, with CTB up the road about 10 miles, I mean, that's an important player internationally in terms of innovation, in terms of acquisitions. One example, how do we make sure we're doing all we can to support them that they want to, as they're looking for things to buy and bring, they bring those here. So those are the 5 E's. Those are the 3 focus areas from Agrinovus. I felt those are a lot more important examples to share, better insights to share than I could come up with on my own. But happy to bring that back, happy to take any questions. I left the mission and motion report as a leave behind. But again, I just appreciate all the support from the council, from the county, and I want to make sure we just can do all we can.
Any questions, council members?
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Appreciate it, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the ARPA committee recommendations. When I call your organization, please come up to the microphone, state your name, and give us your presentation. Beaman Home.
Hello, I'm Renee Salyer, the Executive Director of the Beaman Home in Mary Ann's Place here in Warsaw. We cover 3 counties, Kosciuszko, Marshall, and Fulton County. And I'm here today for our Mary Ann's Place, asking for $44,000 for some upgrades to that building that we purchased about 1.5 years ago. We're asking for about $20,000 for doors, $14,000 for a security camera and system that'll integrate with the Beaman Home so that we can watch client safety from the Beaman Home. And then also $10,000 for electrical upgrades and lighting. The Mary Ann's Place is our essential basic needs center. Our clients utilize the facility for things like clothing, essential items, personal care items. When they move into their own apartment, then they can access furniture and housewares and different things, and it's all free. All the items are donated by the community to the facility, and then we utilize those for clients. And then when there's things that we know clients won't use, we sell those out to the community at a low discount price.
Any council members have any additional questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Renee.
Next up is Kosciuszko County Work Release.
I am Jared Jones with the Kosciuszko County Work Release Center. I'm asking for $5,836 for a walk-through metal detector. I'm trying to bolster the security out at work release. We are currently doing pat-down searches only, and strategically placed items can be easily missed during those. And I think it's an added level of security for both the staff and the inmates.
Any additional questions from the council? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
What security do you have now?
I'm sorry?
What security do you have currently?
Right now, we do pat-down searches.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I have a quick question. So the information that we have been given, is that the system that you're looking to purchase?
Yes, it's through CEIA out of Hudson, Ohio, and that was a quote.
Okay,
That includes install and shipping to get there.
Is there a maintenance charge that you have to be paying? Okay.
Not that I saw.
Okay.
thank you. It's a
you.
neat system.
Thank you. Okay, next up, Milford Volunteer Fire Department.
My name's Steve Farber. I'm with the Milford Fire Department. We're asking for $32,000 to add on additional portable radios to use on the new system. We just need some more. We didn't have enough from the beginning, so that's what we need.
Any additional questions from the council?
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Animal Welfare League, John.
John Lance, Board President, Animal Welfare League. We were asking for $158,698 for various items in the description that I provided. But I'm just here, the handouts I gave you, I have our financials in there. It verifies some of the numbers I put in my request here, like that 59.7% of our expenses are for staffing, and that's 80% of our folks make $9 to $12 an hour. So we have quite a turnover at that rate. Our financials from 20 to 21, our expenses increased only 3.3%. From 21 to 22, we had a negative 1.1%. So we're watching our pennies and nickels is the best that we can here. Part of what we asked for was paving for a parking lot to go around front of the cat house all the way around back where the employees end up parking, and can turn into a muddy mess back there. So my second page there, besides those pictures of the parking lot, was just to show other counties in Indiana that have similar populations and how much more their expenses are. So we're pretty proud that what we spend, we're doing a good job there. It's been really tough, but it's not near amount that some of these other nonprofit shelters spend. So any questions I can answer for you today?
Just want to say thank you for all the detail.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to detail.
Thank you, John.
Well, and I'm going to ask, I know, Mike, you've been there, but I'm going to ask you all to please come and visit us and see what we're doing. Thank you.
And I just want to clarify, this is for your feline facility, not the cat house, right?
There we go. Yes, so we appreciate your support last year and this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Warsaw Police Department.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. Joel Beam, Warsaw Police Department. We are requesting the purchase of 3 mobile radios for our detective vehicles. This purchase price is approximately $10,952. During the initial round, when we were submitting our bids for our radios, we missed 3 detective cars. I know detectives were not happy. So we are requesting those funds for those radios.
Any questions? No? Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, Kosciuszko County Sheriff's Office. Chris.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
The Sheriff's Department ARPA request is for $86,322. It is for our body-worn camera project. We've been up here several times talking about the different tiers that we've worked through. We've done one project for updating the jail. This project is for patrol and our investigative units. It will update the antiquated equipment that we're using right now that is no longer going to be supported after this year. It will also move us to the cloud, the storage outside of our basement servers, which is the industry standard right now. All the producers of these products are moving to that model. We would be moving to a model that is very similar to what Warsaw is using at this time.
What's the maintenance, monthly maintenance for the use of the cloud? Do you know?
Right now, with the body-worn cameras and that on the back here, for the year, I believe it's around $20,000 for the storage for the products we have now. Now, as we move into implementation, yearly, that's going to go up as more of the vehicles come online.
Right.
We already have a program in place where so many products are bought every year. This grant's going to jump us to the new product, and then slowly, as we bring on vehicles in the future, they'll move to this new product. More will come on. There'll be less cost yearly for equipment. Those costs will be migrated over into that storage.
Okay.
Now, as far as the product goes, once you buy the camera is replaced. If something happens to the camera, they replace the camera. You're buying the service from that point forward now with it. Where before, we did the storage downstairs. If something happened to the camera, you bought a new camera. Basically, through that agreement, they're providing the equipment continually from there on out. Whether something happens to it in a car wreck, in a tussle out with an officer, something like that. So yes, there is a continual cost that right now that we do pay for yearly as far as buying the equipment. That is going to be integrated into the project as we've been doing it all these previous years.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Next up, North Webster Community Center.
Good evening. I'm Emily Worrell. I'm the director at the North Webster Community Center. We have the 55,000 square foot historic school in North Webster that has quickly become the heart of our little town. The last 18 months have been pivotal for our organization. We have finished our first strategic plan ever in the history of our group, where we have really truly turned our focus on being mission driven. And when you do that and you focus on engaging your community, we have seen enormous growth through our building. both from our tenants, where in the last 18 months, we've gone from 4 tenants to 12 tenants in the building. And with our community, we've had a 240% increase of community engagement in the last 18 months. It's been amazing. It's just been a really fun ride. What we have seen is that in the building itself, its shelf life has ended very fast, faster than we expected, because it's been getting used a lot more. And so everything we've done as we've moved forward has been looking at it from a sustainability point of view. What can we get our most bang for the buck with? We have created a 3-phase plan, which you should have a cheat sheet of that plan with your information. You'll see that first phase was doing the most vital, which was a roof fix on 2 portions, and some other smaller items that needed done immediately so that we could house our current anchor tenants, which is the Kosciuszko County YMCA, and the doctor's office, which is the first doctor, actual MD in North Webster in several years. Both of those projects were completed through our finances. We didn't have to take a loan out for those. We had the money luckily available to us. The next phase, the second phase, has come much faster than we expected, and we haven't had a chance to do the fundraising for, which is what we're asking for the help tonight, is the $252,000. 214,000 of that is the next most immediate phase of our roof, which would cover everything but the historic barrel roof gym. That full price tag is about $566,000, if anybody's interested. People laugh when I say it's $1 million roof project. It's not really a funny joke. So we have that, and the windows are our biggest issue. We still have windows in the building that are from 1970, which are nice and metal with 1 pane. So they're not really safety compliant for our second story. And our doctor's office still has those metal windows. So when I was in a few weeks ago, when it was still raining, they were using those newborn pads that you lay under a newborn for a physician's visit, sticking those in the window. So we really want to make sure that these things that we're asking from you are sustainable for a long time for our community. And those are the things that we think would do the best use of this money.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you.
Next up is CASA, Aaron Rowland.
Good evening. I'm Erin Rowland Jones. I'm the Executive Director of CASA of Kosciuszko County. We are asking for $19,100. Most of that is coming from some items that we need to complete all at once with all of our staff and volunteers. One of that is fingerprinting. That is a requirement that we have to do every 4 years. So getting that going all at once, fingerprinting all volunteer board members and staff. Right now we have 55 volunteers, we have 5 staff members, and we have 14 members of our board with a 17-seat maximum. We're also we're updating our manuals. We had a curriculum change during COVID, which was really hard to change our training and do that virtually with a new curriculum. We have focused a lot of time and energy on updating forms and things that make it easier for our CASAs to do their job. That helps us retain them. And then a portion of what I'm asking for is for some video. I just came back from the state directors conference, and statewide we're seeing a reduction in the applications for CASA volunteering since COVID. That's an ongoing issue that we've seen in terms of recruiting new people. What we have found is what works best is having people from the community involved in our marketing. If people know someone that's a volunteer, they're gonna say, hey, they've done it, I can do it too. To keep our numbers up and be able to provide the services that we do now to all the child in need of service cases, I think this is gonna be important. But I know that the judges, and Judge McGrath is here and could probably attest to this, have a lot of more domestic relations cases they'd like to have CASAs on. We don't always have the volunteers to be able to provide that. We have to provide that to the children in those child welfare court cases first. I see some of the family law cases as being almost preventative. There may not be big enough issues that child is in a Department of Child Service type situation, but we provide those eyes and ears and get in there and can make some really good recommendations on how to keep the family safe and how to keep the children safe. So that is what we're asking for at this time.
Any additional questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
Okay, as far as voting, we'll take this line item by line item. We'll start off with the Beaman Home for $44,000. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, or aye. Those opposed?
I need to abstain.
Thank you.
I serve on the Beaman Home Board.
Next up is work release for $5,836. Do I have a motion?
Yes, sir.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, next up is Milford Volunteer Fire Department, $32,000.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Animal Welfare League, John Lance, they're at $23,898. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, next is Warsaw Police Department, $10,952. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Aye. Chris McKeon, body cameras, $86,322. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? North Webster Community Center, $252,800. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstain.
I abstain.
Let the record show that Sue Ann abstained. CASA, Aaron Rowland, $19,100. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Next up, Community Coordinator Amy Rowe. I do not see.
No, she's back here. She's here.
Oh, there's
Right there.
Amy.
She's stuck in.
She's stuck in.
Good evening.
Good evening. So I am here today for a very exciting moment in this project program process. We have just a quick review of the process. We've went through all 4 of the phases of the HELP program, starting with the team building, moving into community engagement, and then project review, and now taking all of that information and the specific projects and programs that the community members had approved by the town boards are now in this document called the Strategic Investment Plan. And today, the goal or objective is to basically adopt it so that we can complete and tie up the formal program, and then that will open up the funding side of the process, which we're all very excited to get to. So each of you, I believe, has that document. Hopefully, I sent it, I believe, a week or 2 ago, right, Smith? So hopefully you have had time to review it. It has been extensively reviewed for edits and re-edits and review by many individuals. So hopefully it's perfect.
I just want to tell you what a good job you did, and this document is really fantastic.
Thank you. We did a lot of advocating to get exactly what we wanted. It was, I think that Purdue, this was the first time that Purdue had done a document such as this, because we are unique, if you remember, having 5 local units of government in the process versus just the one. And so they maybe felt like they bit off a little bit more than they could chew, but they followed through. Tricia can attest for that. She was very helpful for Milford just to advocate and all of the community members to make sure that each community got what they desired to have in the document. Purpose of the document is to provide an opportunity to pursue additional investment after we determine what the investment that the projects will have based on the ARPA funds that each of the local units of government put towards the process and who will qualify for CDBG. So if there's a a gap in that, then this document can be used to speak to different granting agencies to get the additional funds to complete the projects. So a couple other things that might be of interest as you're still looking. The next step would be on April 26th. Myself and Carrie will sit down with Allie from Okra, the gentleman from MACOG, Zach, and Pam to discuss the CDBG restrictions. And so we may have communities that will have to do income surveys. And so if after that meeting, it's determined that those have to be done, we will make sure that those happen. And then once those are complete, we'll know the full picture of which projects and communities are fully eligible to use the match dollars, the CDBG. And hopefully, I know Rhonda probably would like this, in June, at the end of June, hopefully we'll bring both the council and the commissioners together to review all the information financially that we have. And the commissioners and council, ARPA committee, all will decide how that money is spent for the projects that the county is responsible to decide upon, and for the communities as well.
Anyone have any additional questions, Amy?
I just want to add that this has been a great program to bring people together and provide a great deal of collaboration. People have had to join to speak to each other and to understand other sides of what is happening in our community. And I think this has really been a blessing. And the other thing is, if you look at this document, there's enough projects here that can keep us going for quite some time. So it's a long-range plan that could change at any moment as things develop. So this isn't something that we were working on to put on a shelf. This is something that we need to work on keeping current, because if you're going to put it on a shelf, there's no point in doing it.
Yeah.
We don't want to be a shelf sitter.
Another point of reference that I think is really interesting is related to the Forward Kosciuszko plan that you adopted. The Community Foundation actually put a funding source out to not only provide for projects that were part of that, but also could provide seed money for projects that were in the HELP strategic investment plan. And so I think it's been made public, Alex told me I could share, that each of the communities that have been part of HELP actually have some of those projects having a bit of seed money already, moving towards the projects that they would like as their capstone. So that, I think that's a neat testimony to partners who are coming alongside this process and already providing seed money. And then K21 had provided the $200,000 per community, and many of those $200,000 pieces are being part of this process as well. So capital stacking is going to be the name of the game, and I think that we will get there and have some pretty neat projects to hang our hat on.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Okay, if I understand correctly, you're looking for a vote to adopt this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
Next up, Tyler Huffer.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hello.
This is our first time here giving a department update. I want to introduce Paul Schmidt. He's my chief deputy at the coroner's office. He's been a great asset so far. He came from the Warsaw Police Department and the police chief for Winona Lake for several years. I also want to thank Tony during this transition. He's helped out a lot of phone calls back and forth and whatnot, so I want to thank Tony for his help and assistance during this transition. We have currently switched to the State Health Department coroner reporting system. This will allow us to have access to grant money and supplies throughout the year. We should know more about that come in June. From January 1st to March 31st, we have had 38 calls. And year to date, we are currently at 47 as of yesterday. 12 of those were accidents, which include overdoses and vehicle accidents and falls. We've had 8 overdoses. 5 of those have included tested positive for fentanyl. So that is quite a bit, I would say, so far for the year.
Wow.
And also, we've had 8 autopsies for the year as well, which seems to be down from last year. So that is it for our department. Unless you guys have any questions?
So you mentioned that you moved to the state health department system?
Yes.
Is that, because you have
No.
like a nice, is that something that the state offers? Or
Yes, the
how
state
does that
offers,
work?
the state health department offers that for free for most counties, for all the counties. And that allows us for grants, supplies from cameras to body bags to gloves, et cetera.
It's a database recording system.
Yep.
Database reporting system where coroner's office can go in and do the reports online. There's 2 of them available to it, one from the State Department of Health and one from the Indiana Coroner's Training Board, and everybody gets to opt which one they want to use.
Yep.
And they share a lot of information, but not everything. But they're both really good programs.
Yep.
Any additional questions or comments?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Tyler.
thanks a lot.
Next up, Health Department, Bob Weaver.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Bob.
I'm here tonight to ask approval to apply for a grant that would supply material for our health department to begin a program of infant blood lead testing at our clinic out at the Health Services Pavilion. This is in response to new state law that took effect January 1st. The law mandates that infants receive 2 blood tests at 1 year, preferably at 1 year and at 2 years of age. And we just think it would be a great, since we are doing the immunizations many times, it would be really helpful to people coming in to kind of get everything done at one lab. And they made a grant available, a health grant. It's a CDC grant that goes down to the Indiana Department of Health and then on to the local health departments.
And I see, it's a reimbursable grant, I
It's a
see?
reimbursable grant.
So if we don't use whatever, we don't get whatever.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I'd like to use that money to start the program. There's some laboratory costs. And if it comes, we really don't know the volume we will have in that clinic. It could be to the point where we want to hire a part-time nurse to kind of run that. And that could come out of that funding also.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Do we have any additional questions? Sorry.
Bob, would you expect this grant to continue, or is this a one-and-done grant?
I think it's going to continue for at least another year. It runs from July 1st, this coming July 1st to June 30th of '24. And I believe it's going to run for a second year.
Probably because they passed the law.
Yes.
Is why they came out. Would that be your guess? That would
Yes.
be a logical one.
And they've also, at the same time, they've lowered the standard. Used to be 10 micrograms per deciliter of blood as the
For lead.
lead level that you start to worry about. And that's gone all the way down now to 3.5, which is a big difference. So we might be getting many more and we might not.
Any additional questions or comments? Tony, you
I'll
made the
make a
motion.
motion to approve.
Okay.
I'd second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay, Highway, Steve Moriarty. I think he has a stand-in.
I was just say,
tonight, yes.
you don't look like Steve.
Just kidding. Not Steve. Good evening, council.
Good evening.
My name is Troy Kensel. I'm the Assistant Superintendent at the County Highway. And I'm here tonight asking for an additional appropriation in the amount of $2,236,550. And this appropriation is for Kosciuszko County Bridge 123 over Wyland Ditch on Packerton Road. This will go into a fund, and then we'll use this fund to track and spend the money as we get invoiced for this. So this money has already been awarded from the federal grant program. I think it's 80-20, 90-10, something like that. So, And this is a process that that we have to follow for every grant project that we get. We get a fund number, so. Any questions?
Any questions from council? Nope, then I'll look for a motion.
I move we approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And it could be several years down the road before that money gets spent.
That is correct,
Yeah,
yes.
It's not a tomorrow thing.
Yes,
so,
no,
yeah.
not tomorrow. Thank you all
Thank you,
again.
Troy.
Thanks, Troy.
Thank you. Next up, Karen McGrath. Good evening.
Good evening to you all. Way on the heels of the Highway Department's $2.2 million, my $4,000 looks really puny. And I will admit, the administrative effort to secure the $4,000 was perhaps more daunting than $4,000 would initially appear worthy of. But I figure every dollar we get from downstate is a dollar less that we are paying from our own pockets. So we're happy to do that. So I'm asking for that additional appropriation for an interpreter grant, $4,000. We were hoping for more. That's what they gave us this year. And I'm hoping it's just the beginning. Perhaps they will see we need it badly. That money has already long since been spent on interpretation services during jury trials.
Any additional questions for Judge McGrath? Thank you. So I
Thank
will
you.
look for a motion.
I'd move we approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming, even though it's $4,000.
Okay. Next up is the Extension Office, Andrew Farrell. Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Good.
Doing well. So I'm here seeking approval for a salary ordinance amendment. Right now, currently, as it stands, we have a position for a STEM program assistant. And I'm looking to bring that back down to more of an entry-level program assistant for 4-H. And so good news is I'm looking to save the county about $6 an hour on some savings. So I'm looking to bring that down more to an entry-level position.
So moved.
Second.
Thank
All
you.
those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Thank you so
I have to
much.
say,
Those opposed? Aye. Not for opposed.
thank you for your annual meeting. It's so informative.
Oh.
I just want to tell you, I think that next year, hopefully more of us can attend and,
We'll make sure to get you an invite.
oh, it was an excellent program
Thank
and
you.
great food from Indiana.
Thank
So,
you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Sheriff Jim Smith.
Jim, you've changed.
The first grant request we have to apply for is the CHIRP Hoosier Highways Injury Reduction Grant. This is a grant that we have participated in for most of my career. It's a yearly grant that comes through the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute. What it allows for is officers to go out and do extra patrols, like stop arm violations for school buses, seatbelt enforcement, impaired driving. The grant itself, our portion of that grant would be a total of $20,500. We would be part of Kosciuszko County's traffic safety partnership. So we'd be working in this grant with Winona Lake, Warsaw, and all the other towns. So those same patrols would be happening within those towns. If you approve this grant in April alone, we could do 36 hours of stop arm patrolling every morning and afternoon with the school buses, just by jumping onto this grant.
Any questions on this grant request? Nope. Okay, I'll look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, next.
The second grant proposal is for a program called IRACS. It would be the Kosciuszko County Integrated Reentry and Correctional Support program. We were approached by the governor's office about a program that they've piloted in several other counties, including Dearborn County. We went and actually observed this project as it was operating in Dearborn County, which is where we originally went and observed the JCAP program. They seem to be on the cutting edge with the actual jail recovery programs. So we modeled our JCAP program originally off of Dearborn County. We went down and observed how the governor's office had placed IRACs in Dearborn County and how it's working as well with their statistics. What it allows for on the sheriff's department side is for there to be peer-to-peer counseling actually in the jail. They found that that is the most effective way to present that recovery option in the correctional facility, somebody that's actually walk the walk, doing the talking. So there's a whole program as far as training these individuals, placing them in, and actually putting them into those counseling settings. But that is just the sheriff's department part. So the $500,000 that we're talking about as far as the grant funding through the sheriff's department is the ask for those actual peer counselors. So we'd have to make space in our facility, allow for them to be in the facility, allow for them areas for them to do that counseling. And there is different programs. There's actually one-on-one counseling that would go on. There's actually group counseling that would go on with the inmates. But there is a completely different component. When we first went down for JCAP, when we decided we were going to start on JCAP, the one thing that was missing, when they're in jail, it's easy to keep them away from the drugs, from the substances that they're abusing. The problem always is once they get out. So the component that was not present at that time, and everybody noticed it, and everybody talked about it, was the support once they got out of the facility. The second somebody walked out of our doors, whether they were on our JCAP program or they were in our general population, is there was nothing supporting them outside of this. The second part of this component is to actually, through the state funding, to be able to put those things in place, to where they have an individual to help them navigate housing, transportation, getting to those AA meetings, the NA meetings, the group sessions that they need out in the community, the therapists, all the things that actually do exist out there, but these people do not know how to navigate and get there. So there will be a second component that is outside our facility. But what we're talking about here is just what we're going to be dealing with. We went to several meetings, listened to several presentations about how they would implement it. How that actually would look here in Kosciuszko County, that's still up for debate. We do know that they're going to ask us for space. They're going to ask us for our availability to do it. And basically our work is what they're going to ask out of the sheriff's department. On the outside part of it, there's a lot more to that will that works. But we're here tonight to ask to be able to apply, research this grant, and move forward. There's going to be a lot of discussion that goes with it in the future, but this is our first step into it.
And is it my understanding that we have a lot of people in the community or organizations that are able to kind of step in and take these roles, was what I'm understanding, isn't that correct? I mean, some of the organizations that have been working with the jail could step in and fill some of these roles, is that accurate?
That's exactly right, Kim. In fact, the only way this program is going to work is having that collaboration. I think if you run into any kind of roadblock at all along the way, it's not going to have the same effect. And we're very blessed in this community to have such buy-in. We saw, the support we had with JCAP over the last several years. I anticipate this to be a lot of the same. I give a lot of credit to the state. I think they recognize that we've been doing a lot of the same things for the last 50 years. It's time to do something different, think outside the box a little bit, and have the peer-driven element to this. It's going to be awfully hard for some of these inmates to look at these peers and tell them why they can't do something when the person they're telling that is someone that's already turned over that leaf and lived that life. They're finding statistically with recidivism, it's doing what it's designed to do. So couldn't be more supportive of it. The trip down to Dearborn County was very eye-opening, had some good conversations with that sheriff down there. And he even admitted that he was a little reluctant at first, but now that it's been up and running, he couldn't be more supportive of it because he's actually seeing the results. He's seeing that as people are getting out, less of them are coming back. And that's exactly what any of us sheriffs want in our facilities, so to lower that number of inmates. So.
I have a quick question. With regard to Dearborn County, do you know, are they still running JCAP and IRACs, or is it?
Yeah, Kath, that's a good question. They are, and
Okay.
IRAC is not designed to replace it. It's designed to run parallel with it. They can,
Okay, so that's
it's
what
a
your
sister
plan
program.
would be. You would plan to do the same thing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. JCAP's doing great. Casey's doing a wonderful job. This is just another tool,
Okay.
and they'll run parallel with one another.
All right, thank you.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed? Thank you. On to the next one. Now, the salary ordinance amendments.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is, apparently I took up the whole back page almost, but this is a second part to what we discussed with you last month's meeting with a lot of encompassing the restructuring inside the department. It is important to note that the funds are there. It's just merely transfers to accommodate those necessary. And I can go down each one of them if you want, or if you have it in front of you and that's good enough, you tell me what you want, Mike.
Do you want him to go through them individually?
No.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll make a motion
I would
to
look-
approve.
Let's look for a motion on the whole thing then.
Yes.
Okay, and a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have one thing. I think there is a duplicate in the line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I got it, Chris.
7 or 8 lines down. 7 or 8 lines down, I think there's a duplication. It's the same
Oh,
employee number.
on the salary ordinance, Suzanne, is it?
10084 is duplicated 2 or 3 times there. Perhaps that needed to have been a different,
Is it
Rhonda.
the 0054, the dispatch shift lead? Is that what we're looking at?
yeah, down in the second batch, there's several of those that have the same employee number.
Oh, I see.
Rhonda will be able to
I
figure it
think
out.
they had sent over corrections earlier in the week, and there was corrections made. It just may not have been. They probably didn't get put onto this sheet.
Still okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let the record show, I don't believe I did say aye on the approval side, but I do approve. Okay, Sheriff's Office transfer requests. There again, another half page.
Yeah, that's the transfer request is in sequence to what we just spoke of. Again, the money's there, and we're just asking to transfer for each of those restructuring positions, which include the corporals and the whole list that you have in front of you.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff.
Next up, County Administrator, Marcia.
Good evening. The ARPA additional appropriations that you see here, this is the final step in the process of approving these dollars for expenditure. They've been before the ARPA committee, the commissioners, and now you've approved them. So this is just appropriating the dollars to be spent.
Okay.
Do you want me to go through individually, or?
No, I think, well, go ahead, read them all.
Okay.
I think, as I say, if we could make a motion to approve as long as,
Well,
if Suanna and I need to abstain on the appropriate areas.
I'll second that.
Let's have a motion to approve everything but the 252,800. I have a motion for that?
And Beaman Home.
And Beaman.
And Beaman.
And the Beaman.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, now, let's deal with the Beaman.
I'd move we approve the Beaman Home.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Now let's North Webster.
I'll make that motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain.
I'll abstain.
Let the record show Sue-Ann abstain.
That's all I
Thank you.
have.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Marcia.
Okay, now we're up for airport authority discussion. Essentially, what we're going to do tonight is, since we had our presentation last week, we'll ask Nick to come up, and if the council members have any additional questions they would like to ask of Nick, or any additional explanations or comments you may have, that's what we're looking for.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, Nick, a lot of the improvements that need to be done out at the airport, the runway, the taxiways, the
taxi
ILS, all that
lanes.
stuff, have they not been done because you have not had the money for the match?
No, they've not been done because they did not hit the minimum criteria needed to resurface or rehabilitate those pavements until now. So we have a pavement condition index that is done by the state every 3 years. And we use the pavement condition index with the FAA to grade our pavement to all of the other asphalt on all airports throughout the state. The state of Indiana is given, I think it's 19.5 million from the FAA for general aviation airports like a Warsaw, Wabash, Goshen, Plymouth, to name a few. And then NDOT, FAA, and the airports put together a statewide plan on who is receiving those funds. On top of the funds, there's two pots of money. Airports, Warsaw size, receive $150,000 a year that we can roll over up to 5 years. So with the airports match, the state match, and then the federal match of that funding is called NPE dollars. That gives us about $880,000, give or take, of NPE dollars. We also then will supplement that with the Airport Improvement Program dollars. So all of that being said, there's a giant spreadsheet that NDOT Aviation Office maintains to see who needs the repavement the most. As I stated in my presentation, we have been able to maintain our asphalt to a very high level of maintenance for its life. We've been awarded multiple times at my state organization, Aviation Indiana, for having the best maintained, oldest pavement in the state. And it is just at the end of its life and needs to be repaved at this time.
What about the ILS? How long has that been out?
The ILS has been at the airport for, I think it was installed in 87 or 86, right in there. It is still operational. One piece is missing, that is the glide slope. It has been out for about 18 months. The first 8 to 9 months that it was out, we thought we were going to be able to fix it with some parts scavenged from other ILSs that have gone down across the US. After getting those parts on site and doing some testing with our engineers, we were unable to get it repaired, and the FAA said, we don't want you to attempt anymore. So the ILS has been, it's called a notice to airman, or notice to air mission now, we just changed that. And that has been taken offline, but our localizer and DME, which are the other two parts of the ILS, are still in operation.
Was that the 1.2 million to replace that? I remember?
Ballpark, yep.
Is that 90, 10, 95, or?
That is not, that is local funding.
Local money only? Okay.
Any other additional questions or comments from the council?
I have a number of comments I'd like to make. Just personal feeling, probably had more contact on this issue in the last few weeks, especially since yesterday, since the tax things hit. I know there's never a good time to raise taxes, but there are better times to raise it, and I don't think this is the time to do it. There's lots of things in play right now, and apparently, I mean, the main focus of this is to get enough money to operate and fix up the airport to make it a better facility. No question, it is an asset to our community. The hardest thing I've had is the people that say, I don't use that airport, whatever. I've tried what you said, hey, Zimmer and the orthopedics, they employ 5,000, 7,000 people. They have good homes. They pay lots of taxes, so forth, but they really haven't bought into it at this point. There still needs to be a lot of selling before we go to it. Personally, I don't like the idea of an airport authority. I don't like creating another board that has taxing power. And I know the mayor came back and indicated that they'd go for 2 cents rather than the 3.9, but you know what happens when you get aboard. We're in government, we're going to take whatever we can get. And I want to do whatever we can to get enough money for that airport. I think we, as a county, should buy in. And Representative Representative Snow made the comment that the state wants the county to buy in at some point. I don't know that that has to be an airport authority. I think we need to look at an interlocal agreement, a member of understanding. I think we can figure out a way to get them the money they need to improve that airport without establishing an airport authority. I have a real problem with the 3-and-3 designation. That could be changed, and Representative Snow indicated that he might be willing to work on that if we do in fact do that. So at some point, I don't know whether it's in order at this point, but I would like to make a motion that we table this matter at this time. I don't know, do you put a time limit on it or whatever? I would like to make a motion that we table it at this time until we explore other opportunities to get the money. I want the airport to be successful. I don't know that this is the way I want to support going.
Or do you want to push this out to past budget time, or what are you thinking?
At least.
At least, okay.
Or look at it at budget time, and then we can bring it back, if you want, correct?
Looking for a month.
Well, your motion was to just table it. We don't have to put a date on it, correct? If we table it?
We have to revisit it every month.
I basically was asking for feedback from the other committee members, if any of them feel the same way. Do you want to put a time limit?
I mean, do you want a specific time to be able to come back and revisit this year, or do you want to?
I'd say at least 6 months or a year.
So your flavor would be in '24?
Yes.
Is that your motion?
That is my motion. At that point, we will have, we have two pretty powerful representatives of the state of Indiana, and there's a very good possibility they may get involved in this and help us out tremendously.
Okay, do I have a second?
I think Suzanne was going to say something.
I just have a question. The resolution that the city passed,
30 days.
where does that leave us with that city resolution? Does that mean they would then have to go back and create a new resolution?
Correct.
Yes.
In order to make.
That is my
I thought it
understanding.
was 60 days.
It is 60 days from the
It's
time
60.
that they
I
passed
remember.
it. So
So,
that carried us through the to the
May
end of
meeting.
May, I believe, yeah.
So my understanding is that the city of Warsaw would then have to go back,
Correct.
okay, go through the process again. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
aye.
Aye.
Those abstain?
Aye. I'm going to abstain. I've spoken with legal counsel and have been informed that although not a legal conflict of interest, one of my husband's business entities could potentially benefit from the airport expansion. So out of abundance of caution, I've decided to abstain.
Okay, well, it looks like the ayes have it. We're going to table it till the 2024 year. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, next up, Rhonda Helser, March encumbering.
Good evening. I'm just here for the March 23 encumbering for $9,116.80. So you approve that?
Any questions? Looking for a motion?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, budget discussion. Rhonda.
So in the years past, prior auditors would remind you about budget time. And so we're looking out to August, around the 24th, to start the budget process. We have to have that adopted by October 31st. And so we're looking at August 24th. And then we would adopt that set for a meeting on 10/12 of '23.
Okay, earlier, we had some discussions about making this a two-day event rather than having a marathon session in one day. Are there any more thoughts on that from the council?
I think our county would be better served if we spread it out a little bit and we got a little bit more information from our department heads, personally. I mean, I liked it when we were doing the 2-day. We did that, 5 years ago-ish? And it was a really enlightening time that we got to spend with department heads, because we would ask them all, like, what do you really need? What do you need in 5 years? What can you live without? You know, it was great, and we had a great communication, and I felt like that the council really understood where each department was, and, you know, we're all pretty frugal anyway, so we were able to kind of get to know the department heads better and the needs. So that would be my choice.
You talking 2 full days?
Oh, even a day and a half, I don't know. She asked if you were asking for 2 full days.
I believe half days is what we talked about, because everybody's a little fresher in the morning. By afternoon, everybody seems to be disengaged.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Lack of a better way to say it.
I would be in favor of 2 half-days.
Well,
Two half-days.
you have to remember that when we sat down to speak with the commissioners, that takes up almost a half a day
Yeah.
by itself.
So do we want to have one
And
day
the
just for
sheriff's
commissioners?
office is probably going to take almost a half a day.
That's right.
By the time we get through all of it. Just saying.
So,
I agree.
I mean, what's your flavor? Somebody make a
2
suggestion?
full days then, where we can have like the commissioners in the morning on one day and the sheriff's department in the morning on the next day, or something like that? Or in the afternoons?
So could we not do 3 days spread out?
Like
3
3 mornings,
half-days?
3 mornings.
I think that would be better. And the real reason that I feel that way is I don't want department heads to feel like they're being herded through here like cattle.
Right.
I'd really like to hear what their thoughts are and where they're coming from. That's just me. And if we can't do that, I mean, some of us are going to talk to the department heads anyway, so
Well, and some of us are not probably going to be able to be at each one,
that may be.
just because of a scheduling issue. I mean, most of us have obligations and.
And as a former department head, I feel the pressure when I was in presenting budgets for the time crunch.
Hurry up, because the
Right.
clock's ticking.
Right.
Okay, so Sue Ann, would that be a motion to go to 3 days?
We could go to 3 days, and they don't have to necessarily be consecutive days.
Exactly.
Right.
Because some people have other jobs that they have to attend. So perhaps we could build that around other people's calendars.
Correct.
So they're not having to miss work and.
Okay, so we would have until August sometime to
Yeah.
figure out the dates, so. Do we need a motion on that then or not?
No, just,
No?
you're just adopting.
Joni, you had a comment.
All right.
Yeah, and I had a comment. I know in the past that a lot of us have done a lot of homework before we get there. And if people do the homework, then it goes much smoother, because you've already got your questions answered. Whereas then people aren't put on the spot trying to answer questions that they had no idea were coming. And I don't think blindsiding the department heads is the way to go.
You know, it's nice, that some of that could even happen in a department heads meeting, you know, that are rare. Anyhow.
Okay, we'll
Okay,
get you
so
a
everybody's-
schedule and send it out to you, and then.
Right,
can
so
go
everybody's
from there.
good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further, okay, thank you,
Thank
Rhonda,
you.
unless there's something else?
No.
Okay, any further business come before the council tonight? Okay, sure. Please, could you come up to the microphone, please?
Hello, my name is Deborah Hathaway, and I'm a resident here. My question is, like, you decided to wait until 2024 more on the airport situation. A lot of people have been telling us that you're thinking about shutting 100 down from each end, and even a tunnel, they were even saying. But now we have pipes in front of 100, in front of the airport, on 300, and I live on 150, and there's big water pipes all stacked up.
Actually, that's more of a commissioner's question than a council question. So I would have you direct that to the commissioner in the room if he's willing to take that. If not, you'll have to come back to the commissioners meeting.
This wasn't a question, I understood your question.
what is the pipes that are laying there in the three areas? What is it for?
They're getting ready to do, there's a couple projects happening out there. I know there's gonna be a bridge replacement on the Husky Trail Road. That's where they've been clearing the trees just south of 100, or is it 200 north. But on up towards the airport, I'm not sure whether there's, I've not been down that road for a bit, as far as, I don't know if there's a county project that's going on right there, unless there's just a culvert replacement underneath the road.
They look like they're water pipes for water, but they are directly in front of 100, in front of the airport. Then they come to 300 when you turn, which would be left. And then-
Excuse me, I don't mean to cut in, but Nick's putting his hand up. Maybe he has some information.
I'm not 100% on this, but I'm fairly certain those pipes are in place for the Tippy Chapman Sewer Project.
There you
that's
go.
going through. And that's, there's going to be a force main from that.
That
sewer
would make
district
sense.
Back to this.
Even down 150 too.
Correct. Because that project, they're tying the two together. I don't have the plans, but they're cutting across the east end of our property, just west of 175. They're going to come down, and then I believe the plan is to tie in and come across near 300, or Pound Road. yeah.
Pound Road and Pound
For
Road.
the septic system.
That's for the sewer system.
The Tippy Chapman Sewer District, correct. That's what they,
Nothing happens to our property as far as our water, the well, or any.
I can't,
If
I
you're
can't
not,
answer.
if you've not been notified by the Tippy Chapman Sewer District, you're not in the district.
Okay. That's what I needed to know. Thank you.
Highly unusual, but thank you. Any additional questions for the council?
Well, I guess this isn't a question, just an announcement. I know exciting news today at our Park and Rec Board. They did adopt the new master trail and park plan today, so just super excited to see that move forward. And I know they're already gearing up for the next one, which is an RFP to do a master trail and Blue Way plan. So just excited to see that happen, as well as with the approval of the SIP for help. List of projects there. We're hoping to get a better idea on our funding, and excited to see maybe a shovel in the dirt on some of those too soon. So,
Would that be a walking trail, biking trail, both?
on which one? For the help?
Either?
Well, on the master trail plan, it'll be hiking and biking. We're looking to try how we can interconnect all the communities back to Warsaw, and then also connect up to like the Pumpkin Vine, and also over to the Nickel Plate, and just make us a more regional destination for bikes and hiking. So,
Okay. Thank you, Kerry.
thanks.
Any other questions, comments?
The question was brought up about 100 East. Can I just touch on that real quick? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so there's been a lot of questions to the airport about 100 East and the airport authority, and I think there's a lot of confusion that the two are interlinked. The 100 East project is actually a safety issue that has been brought to the airport by the FAA. Whether we extend that runway or not, as 100 East sits, that is a safety issue for both the public driving on 100 East and the pilots and passengers that are currently operating out of the airport. So that is a that is a known issue that we are in the middle of the phase 1 study to try and figure. We have some geometry issues on the west side of the airport that we're figuring out with our 2 runways. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is the environmental study to figure out what will happen with 100 East. We don't know what that is yet. Our proposal, and we are trying to push for a tunnel, but at the end of the day, all options for that road are still on the table. We are going to have to go through a full environmental assessment and what the FAA calls a categorical exclusion to go through the proper channels, do the correct study, and then we will submit that to the FAA and then figure out what the best plan is moving forward. But that project that's already been noted. It has been approved as of our airport layout plan that was adopted in 2019 by the FAA. So those projects are in motion, whether the airport authority or not happens. The main reason that the airport board was really wanting to come to the county and have a discussion with the county and see if that airport authority was something you would like to entertain is so that you can have a seat at the table and be a part of those discussions with the FAA as we move forward. Yes, funding is part of it, but also having representatives from the county on our board that are having these conversations with the FAA so that when they come to us and say, why should we put a tunnel in? Why should we loop the road instead of rerouting traffic? It's not just city of Warsaw. It is the city and the county coming with a unified voice to the FAA. So that's that's probably the biggest reason that both the airport board and the city did vote to push this project along. So just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Nick. Last but not least, the additional comment I would have on the airport authority, I want it to be clear to business and industry in the county that we are not slamming the door on this possibility. We just are saying we need time. We need to take a step back and look at this thing to really explore any avenues that are available that we might not even be aware of today. So, and with that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Kathy abstained. I was Dave, Dave and I, Tony, and, yeah. Yeah, 4-2, yes, yes, yes. I was close. Oh, wait a minute, no comment.
I want you, good, I want you to know, I will do everything I can to get them all the money they need. I just don't want to raise new taxes.
This is my biggest problem, is that every year we follow these full programs that they're running
As far as what?
being competitive. You know, and we're losing money. I mean, they just got $100,000 when the Zimmer meeting was here, because all those planes were away because we didn't have a de-icer. And so the longer we put it off, the worse off we're gonna be.
But we don't have to put it off. You're going to be amazed at how much money is coming to them in the next couple of weeks.
Well, this is good. This is good. No, wait a minute. And so I'm not, like I said, I'm not for or against. I just think that I would not have put it off for a year. I thought I put it off for several months or something like that.
I
That
would.
was my disagreement. It wasn't to put it off like, it wasn't because I wanted it. It was because I thought we should act sooner than later.
The timeframe, I would like to talk to them right away, because our county is in pretty good financial shape.
Kathy Groninger, you have papers to sign.
Sorry. airport thing? Because I'm supposed to, I abstained from that. Where's the airport thing? Oh.
So,
Sheriff. I don't know. I want to try to catch Nick before he goes. Huh?